My name's Matt Weidner. I'm a consumer justice and foreclosure defense attorney that practices in the Tampa Bay area. And you know, we're having a national conversation about foreclosure defense issues and economic issues that are affecting all Americans. And in the conversations regarding foreclosures, we don't spend much time talking about the people that are part of this foreclosure problem. And we spend even less time talking about the houses that are subject to foreclosure proceedings. I know a lot about this house that sits behind me because I defended the family that was in this house, that lived in this house, that raised their family there. We lost that foreclosure trial. It was a devastating loss for me personally and devastating for the family. We took this case all the way up to the appellate court. We appealed this foreclosure judgment that was entered against this house, that was entered against this family, and we lost at that appellate court. I was most disturbed to learn that the house still sits vacant today, many years later. You know, this house tells a story that's far too common across this country. The family tried to work with their bank. They tried to do a modification so they could start making a mortgage payment. Then when that didn't work, they tried to do a short sale, but the bank rejected that. That was so many years ago that the bank could have turned this property over to another family if that's what they wished to do, but they didn't. Instead, nearly 5 years later, this home sits vacant and abandoned and destroyed, an eyesore on the community. In this country, we need to engage in a far more sophisticated conversation about what's happening with foreclosures and what's happening with the larger economy. We need to ask ourselves at the community level, why should we be throwing our neighbors and their families out into the streets so that houses like this can sit vacant and abandoned for years? That's the wrong policy for this country. In the community, we need to be working together as individuals to keep families in their homes so that the homes can be taken care of, so that the families can be preserved. We need to fight back against the government who's working with the banks to throw families out into the street and work on reasonable solutions to keep families in their homes, making payments and taking care of those homes. I hope that we can engage in a far more thoughtful conversation about what it takes to secure our communities and keep families safe living in their homes. I hope that our court system and their government can start working far more cooperatively with the consumers and the citizens that elect them and put them into office, and develop strategies that allow families to stay in their homes instead of allowing these banks and these foreign national corporations to foreclose and throw them out into the street so that houses like this can stay vacant and abandoned. It's my proposition that our elected officials, our court officials, and our government at large has a larger responsibility to work with individuals and families and keep them in their homes rather than working with the banks and the foreign national corporations to throw them out into the street. That's my message. That's my hope for our community.